NVIDIA's ARM Super CPU just tripped over Windows 12 and skid-marked into 2026. ASUS handed overclockers a 2 kilowatt red button for the 5090. The Threadripper Pro 9000 will happily empty your bank account. And Ubisoft says paying extra actually makes games more fun. An unreleased AMD triple 8-pin monster cooler just leaked, and my AI fridge absolutely betrayed me. You know the drill. Let's get into it. All right, guys, if you're not following me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it this week, you're missing out. All right, my fridge, just real quick before we get into the news, really betrayed me this week. It has some AI functionality that I'm still trying to figure out. So I logged an apple like a week or two ago as a food item. And when it enters the fridge, it lets me know, and I still don't know what I'm doing. But my fridge betrayed me because guess what? It thinks that my bald dome is an apple. You know, I peek my head in there, I'm looking for some snacks, and apparently an apple has entered the fridge. Look at this, absolutely betrayed by AI. What a sad, sad day. I'm thinking I might disable this on the old fridge at this point. If you're not following me on X or Twitter or whatever, make sure you go check it out because you're missing out on all of these self-roasts that I'm doing over on X, Twitter, whatever, Flappy Bird. What are we calling it this week? I don't know. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter, Zack Shut, if you want to see more self-roasts like this. Ugh, my fridge. My fridge has betrayed me. Was AMD planning on competing with the RTX 4090? Well, this mystery Radeon cooler is so big that it needs its own zip code. Let's crack it open and take a look inside, shall we? Come on. Man, I love when prototypes leak and we get to see under the hood of what the development team was planning and then they mysteriously gave up on. Check this out. Mystery AMD Radeon GPU cooler spotted on Chinese forums is larger than RX 7900 XTX with a massive heatsink and 3 8-pin connectors. Possibly, this could have been the RX 7950 XTX that never was. Oh boy, we actually get to take a look at this card opened up and take a look under the hood of the cooler at least. Let's take a look and see what's inside. This sparks a bigger question. Was AMD building a 4090 killer? Let me know what you think. A massive prototype cooler from AMD's Radeon RX 7000 series has surfaced online, sparking speculation that AMD once considered a true RTX 4090 class GPU during the RDNA 3 era. Now, a lot of people have talked about this, how like, man, AMD, I wish you would compete on the high end. All you got to do is just make sure the cables don't melt at this point. It should be a slam dunk, you would think. AMD has opted for competing more in the price zone and the budget range and things like that. But man, wouldn't it be cool to have a 4090, even 5090 competitor from AMD? This is a little look at what could have been. Now, this leak originated from a Korean forum where the user shared images of a mysterious shroud purchased from a Chinese marketplace. Now, at first glance, it looks like your standard 7900 XTX reference cooler, but as you can see from the side-by-side of an actual 7900 XTX, this is much, much bigger. Thankfully, this user broke down everything, comparing the cooler with, as you can see up here, an actual retail 7900 XTX. The prototype measures almost 34 centimeters in length compared to 29 centimeters for the 7900 XTX, nearly 5.5 centimeters thick, taking up 3 slots with a triple fan config. It has a slightly different cutout for the LEDs as well, but it largely looks the same aesthetically. So this hit a Chinese marketplace with no PCB inside. This is just the cooler itself. And somewhere in AMD HQ, I would love to see what they were planning on this card. It's just so hard to tell from just the cooler, but we can get some cool insights. We'll dig into that. The most eye-catching feature is its power design with space carved out for, yep, check this out, 3 8-pin connectors instead of the 2 that you get on the 7900 XTX. 3 8-pins. AMD basically wrote, you know what? Skip leg day because your PSU is going to be doing the heavy lifting on this one. This alone suggests a total board power well beyond 450 watts, making it more akin to NVIDIA's RTX 4090 in scale and power delivery. The heatsink itself has 3 painted red fins indicating RDNA 3, and it's a centimeter longer than the 7900 XTX. This is a reference edition card. And here's another angle just showing you the size difference between the 7900 XTX and whatever this was supposed to be. All right, so let's open up the card. Let's see what's inside. Once you open it up, you see a copper base plate and a heavy heat pipe array, clearly intended for handling higher thermals and demanding loads. The internal layout of this design is decidedly different than the 7900 XTX, suggesting that this had to have been for a beefier card. There's just no other way to spin it. And of course, you don't have any IO, you don't have the PCB, so you can't really guess what model that this cooler was intended to house. And Reddit, I've been looking on Reddit, they're already christening this the Space Heater XTX, which kind of feels accurate and seasonal. There are a bunch of serial numbers stickered onto the shroud, which you can see there, but they don't return any info when reverse searched for. Again, you got another dead end on this thing. So let's just play pretend. Let's play pretend for a second that this card were to have come out. Where would it have slotted in? What could we have seen in the market? Let's use our imaginations here, shall we? Such a GPU could have possibly bridged the huge gap between the RTX 80 class and 90 class cards with a middle of the road option, even today. But the cooler itself isn't compatible with retail designs due to its unique mounting pattern, leaving original purpose an absolute mystery. What's clear though is that AMD ultimately shifted focus away from the ultra enthusiast segment, choosing to compete on efficiency and price to performance rather than raw power. And you know what? This leak kind of lines up with some of those rumors that were rolling around about a Halo tier. I mean, you could call it 7950 XTX or 7990 XTX, meant to square up with the RTX 4090. Enthusiasts are kind of speculating that, you know, target clock would be maybe somewhere above 2.9 gigahertz on air. Cooler alone, $120 is what you can expect to pay for this. I guess there's only one, so I'm sure it's already sold by now with all of this news coming out about it. Let's dig into the comments though, see what some of the speculation is. I'm curious to hear from you guys too, what you think about this, what it could have been, what it should have been, what it could be potentially if AMD decided to compete on those higher end cards like the 5090. Let's take a look at the comments, see what people are saying. We've got a contrarian comment here. Check it out. All the AIB 7900 XTX have 3 8-pins, so how is this special for this mystery GPU? Well, I think the size is really what's kind of contributing to this. I mean, just given how big this is and it looking to be a reference card, I think that's kind of what people are inferring there, but fair comment. Now, would you have bought this card or would you buy it today? This user says, yes, I would have bought this 7999 XTX or nowadays 99 XTX instead of 4090 if any of them were true. 4090 is a very performant beast and I like the performance, double like video upscaling, but I'm too fed with their terrible drivers and multi-monitor issues, which never were the case on AMD cards. This was my first NV card in 10 years. Having flaky and easily burnable power connector also doesn't add much to expectations for the future, even if I seem to be lucky enough to avoid it for now. And this is kind of what I've seen a lot of people say. It's a shame that AMD is willingly surrendering the top end and simply fails to even try, especially in light of NVIDIA's melting connectors. And here's the line: AMD couldn't get a better opportunity. Our GPUs don't melt. That's the line you need on the box. That's about it, right? Let me know what you guys think about this down below. Why don't you? And while you're there, there's a subscribe button and a like button. They're just hanging out and they're just waiting for you to click them. Just a thought. I don't want to be pushy or anything. All right, listen up, friends. Today's video is powered by the MediaPC's Threadripper. This thing is shipping today. Every single panel sports its own custom print, so your rig looks as savage as it plays. Now inside, you've got the brand new RTX 5080, Ryzen 7 9800X3D, and 64 gigs of DDR5 memory. Translation: triple-digit frames and render times measured in blinks. This thing is cooled with a Meta 360 AIO. It's RGB drenched, and it's got tempered glass that lets the artwork pop. We pulled some crazy frames in Fortnite, Apex, and even in Cyberpunk on some wild settings. So hit MediaPCs.com, click the buy button, and use code ZackNews to save. It leaves our Phoenix shop the very same day. Now these units vanish fast, so claim your Threadripper before somebody else racks up the kill streak at MediaPCs.com and use code ZackNews to save. And now, back to the news. ASUS just gave you a nuke switch, 2001 watts through one connector. What could possibly go wrong? Let's take a peek. That's right, ASUS unofficial XOC BIOS with 2001 watt power limit is now available for the ROG Astral 5090D gaming OC. Now 5090D being the now not available and discontinued China variant of the 5090. We talked about this too. A lot of these cards are showing up on eBay. Previous episode, I talked about the Galax 5090D HOF Lab showing up on eBay at $5,500. And the big question was, okay, that's cool and everything, but you need the BIOS to get the full power out of this thing and really take advantage of what you've got under the hood. Well, check it out. ASUS now has this XOC BIOS that unlocks more than 3 times the power the GeForce RTX 5090D needs. But guess what? It's not official. So if the stock limit is what, about 600 watts, this lifts it to 2001 watts on the card. Now, this BIOS was leaked by a user, Dark Knight OCR. Tech Power Up is where we found this. It seems like the Galax 5090D HOF isn't the only card to get the 2001 watt power limit, as someone prepared a similar custom XOC BIOS for the ROG Astral 5090D gaming OC. The new BIOS is available on Tech Power Up for download, but remember, very important, this is not official, this is not verified. So if you end up doing stuff like this, just understand you're doing it at your own risk. If you flash your BIOS, your electric bill at that point kind of just becomes an accessory, a very expensive accessory. Nonetheless, the XOC BIOS essentially unlocks the full power of the Astral 5090D, which is a 5090 variant, as we mentioned, for the Chinese market. We know that the 5090D already discontinued, but for those who already own the card, you can now increase your power limit from nearly 600 watts to a whopping 2001 watts through the BIOS. Now, you've already got Reddit joking about this, saying that it doubles as a ramen cooktop between benchmark runs, which is kind of fun, right? This is originally spotted on the overclock forums. The XOC BIOS, compatible with the 5090D, the Astral card, which is already one of the top of the line offerings by ASUS. Through this BIOS, one can supply up to 2001 watts through a single 16-pin power connector, which is, of course, so dangerous. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when it's going to end up melting, in my humble opinion. So comparison though, we talked about the Galax 5090D. So how does it compare to this Astral 5090D? Even though this Astral 5090D, not as crazy as the Galax HOF edition out of the box, it may come close to such results, but it's going to be difficult since it only ships with a single 16-pin, while the Galax, as you'll remember, you can see right here, comes with 2 of those 16-pin ports. It really comes down to power on this card, with the Astral using a single 16-pin. The cable, quite literally, is a fuse. Warranty instantly evaporates once you flash this bad boy. Let's take a look at the comments. I'm curious what people are saying. Maybe what you have to say. Let me know in the comments down below. This is a comment to sum it all up. This has to be a comedy sketch. It's not, it's real, but that doesn't mean that it's not comedy. There's humor in everything, guys. Come on. Can we have a little fun? We're talking about graphics cards here. Smile, lighten up a little bit. It's gonna be all right. Just don't have this thing on. Don't let your house burn down, okay? Do you need 96 Zen 5 cores? Well, skip the used Honda, and you know what? Just wire 11 grand to AMD instead. Check it out. These just launched. AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro 9000WX Zen 5 CPUs launched, and they are now available. You can get them at all those major retailers. Prices starting at $1649 for 16 and 12 grand for 96 cores. Whoo, that's a lot of money. AMD has officially launched its Ryzen Threadripper Pro 9000 CPUs, which are now available in the US starting at just above $1,600 for the 16-core version. Now, I'm gonna get to the comments and your thoughts in a second. There are a lot of, I guess, Intel evangelists that have something to say about this. We'll dig into that though. AMD's fastest workstation Pro CPUs based on the Zen 5 architecture are officially launched for retail. Many retailers already have these SKUs. You can check them out. They're all over the place. Amazon, Newegg, and everywhere else that you can find $12,000 processors. Newegg has announced that it's offering back orders for these processors on the website starting at $1649. You've got essentially 5 SKUs in the lineup. These range from 16 to 96 cores, similar to the previous gen, but you've got architectural improvements as well, higher clock speeds, things like that. AMD officially announced the retail launch and the pricing a few days ago, and you can see them right freaking now on Newegg. That 9955WX, the 16 core, $1649, all the way up to the 9995WX, just a hair under 12 grand. So let's talk about that 12 grand processor, the one everyone definitely needs. This is a beast, make no mistake about it. Flagship workstation processor, that 9995WX, highest number of cores and features, leading performance in AI, and as per AMD, it's up to 26% faster than the Pro 7995WX, and up to 500 almost percent higher performance in select AI applications compared to Xeon W9 3595X. Let's talk about benchmarks on this bad boy. That's what everyone wants to know about, right? Some early benchmarks, including Cinebench. The processor delivered a 173,000 score in multi-thread performance. The processor is also able to maintain a 5 gigahertz clock speed across all 96 cores, which helps to even bump that up 186,000 points in Cinebench. This is without using liquid nitrogen or any fancy tricks. I'm sure much more is possible on this, and I'm sure you're gonna see it for some crazy mad lads that love to do that type of benchmarking. That'll be coming in no time, I would assume. And we'll likely cover it on this very channel, so you may want to make sure that you're subscribed. It'll be fun. We'll find out together. So 5 SKUs. 16 to 96 cores, Zen 5, DDR5 6400 8-channel, all that good stuff, and up to 26% faster than the 7995WX. Now, these went live today as of recording this, and already they're sold out in minutes, back orders going, all that good stuff. All right, let's dig into the comments on this bad boy. I'm sure you have some thoughts too. Now, we have some contrarians, some Intel fans that want to rain on the parade, which is totally fine. We're having fun here. Why not? Let's dig in and see what the comments are saying below. We'll give you a second to formulate your own thoughts on this. Leave them down in the comments. All right, check this one out. Nova Lake will kill Zen 6's high core lineup on AM5 and the bottom half of the Threadripper range. Diamond Rapids workstation will kill the rest of Threadripper. These turds will feature big AM discounts. Gee, tell us how you really feel. And it won't be enough. I guess Lisa knows this, and this will be a paper launch from the get-go. As for Zen 6, the only CPUs that will be selling are the X600 and a few X700 ones. Later, Lisa will rebadge some old trash and call it X500, X400, 300. Those will sell too. So very opinionated there. I'm going to offer a few counterpoints just for fun. We like to have fun here, right? Listen, a slight reality check is that Nova Lake still slated for what, 2026? So the latest leaks on paper, 52 mixed cores with 150 watt power base, 2026 retail window though. So Intel hasn't really shown any working silicon in public. And in terms of AM discounts, I would say like just one thought on that is it's not uncommon for AMD or Intel to clear out older stock, right? AMD cut Zen 4 prices to make way for Zen 5. You even had Intel who sliced Raptor Lake to move and make room for Arrow. So, you know, some might call that inventory management and not panic. I don't know. So Intel's leaks looking very fierce on paper, but most of them are still, you have to remember, a year behind AMD's Zen 6 schedule and require new platforms as well. So things to keep in mind. But what I'm really curious about is what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, where are those new NVIDIA CPUs? What's going on? Well, NVIDIA blames Windows 12 delays. Microsoft is shrugging it off. The ARM Dream PC just slid to 2026. Let's take a peek. The reason NVIDIA's upcoming ARM CPU is delayed is apparently in part because Microsoft isn't sorting out its next-gen OS quickly enough. And rightly said on this article, Windows on ARM causing issues? Well, I never. We've been hearing about this a lot. The N1X, the new Intel ARM-based CPU, supposed to crash Intel's party, but now we're seeing it penciled until Q1 of 2026, maybe. I'm not even holding my breath on that one. Just a week ago, it was reported that we might have to wait until next year to see custom ARM processors from NVIDIA. Now we're hearing not only more sources saying the same and that a first quarter 2026 initial rollout is a goal, but also, well, the reason may be in part to the slow progress with Microsoft's next-gen operating system. Now that's just part of it. We're going to dig into the reality of the entire picture of what could be going on over at NVIDIA, but let's dig into this first. Now that is what supply chain sources are saying. They're saying that it's related to Windows and their next-gen OS. According to the sources, NVIDIA and MediaTek collaboration is reportedly facing delays due to, and this is really what it is, it's a combination of delays in Microsoft's OS roadmap, that's just one of them, but also ongoing chip revisions at NVIDIA, weakening demand in the overall notebook market. The latter point hits at Qualcomm Snapdragon Windows on ARM machines being less in demand than initial appearance at launch may have had us expect. It's kind of like the Spider-Man meme. You're like, wait, is it Windows? Wait, chip revision? Wait, no one's buying the Snapdragon laptop? Wait, which... It's really a culmination of things is kind of what we're hearing. And this is a fair point too. You're not going to see these ARM processors in the gaming sector for a while. It's going to roll out on enterprise first. Sources explain that the new Q1 2026 target isn't for gaming, nor even general consumers. Apparently the initial rollout will be for enterprise customers. So who knows how long we'll have to wait to get our hands on a gaming laptop with an NVIDIA processor. Man, NVIDIA really just spreading their wings and really trying to capitalize on where Intel has kind of fallen off, according to some. So enterprise gets dibs first. Gamers, you get on the wait list. And it's not even mobile that's being targeted solely with these new NVIDIA chips that they're working on. Apparently 2 SKUs have been rumored. You get one mobile, one desktop is what the plan is supposed to be. Now, whatever the actual reason is, it's a shame that we'll have to wait so long to see custom ARM chips from NVIDIA. We're hoping to get to see them this year, and we even thought we might get a glimpse at Computex, but no dice. Just a little bit optimistic on that one. Now, benchmarks for the N1X, there were some some things that existed in the wild. You can check that out. There was actually a Geekbench entry that you can see here that shows an NVIDIA N1X processor with 20-thread ARM CPU, base clock 2.81. But that really doesn't mean a whole lot if engineering samples aren't even ready, right? Now, the chips in question are assumed to be based on the GB10 at the heart of NVIDIA's DGX Spark Mini supercomputer, a 20-ARM core chip. However, there's still at least a sliver of possibility that NVIDIA could design new cores based on ARM. So original launch pegged to coincide with the Windows 12 launch for seamless ARM support. If Microsoft slips again, or NVIDIA, or whoever's responsible for this, sounds like it's a whole bunch of people, expect the schedule to shuffle again. And NVIDIA was kind of up on a little bit of a time crunch here because you had analysts saying that delayed demand could worsen if Lunar Lake from Intel launches on time. So what about consumer laptops? What about the gaming segment? What could we expect to see from NVIDIA there? When we do see the processors in consumer laptops, hopefully gaming laptops, we had some rumors about Alienware partnered laptops, but hopefully a new player, and this is according to this article, in the consumer market could be a good thing. I don't see how it could be otherwise. Even if Windows on ARM isn't quite ready or there are any number of issues with the devices, I don't see how it could be a complete 100% flop. We'll see about that. Honestly, the biggest perk of all of this, of NVIDIA coming to the table and working on these ARM CPUs, is more competition in the market. It's not just Intel and AMD. Now you have NVIDIA jumping into the game as well. More competition, typically better for consumers. We'll see what happens. Now, I'm very curious to see what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure that you're subscribed because we're going to be doing a bunch of other updates on this as well as we start to get some more information. It's Copium Corner. That's right, today's Copium Corner, it couldn't be any better than this. This is what Copium Corner was made for. Check this out. Ubisoft claims that its microtransactions actually make games more fun. Are you having fun yet? Check this out. Ubisoft recently affirmed its commitment to microtransactions, not only as a business model. This is where things get wild, and we're gonna read the actual quote from this release. Apparently, they make games more fun. Microtransactions do. The publisher has faced criticism from both players and press in the past for its implementations of features like paid XP boost in single-player games. Nevertheless, Ubisoft has boasted some major hits in its single-player game portfolio over the last few years. You had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Both of them made Ubisoft just a crap ton of money. Now, this is an annual report that just came out. I'm going to pull up the report itself. We'll read the quote directly from it. Ubisoft restated its intentions to continue implementing microtransactions in full-price single-player games and otherwise. The report expresses, now check this out, kind of contradicts itself. And I'm going to pull this up so we can read it together. This section of this report is all about monetization, right? And the first part makes a lot of sense. The adoption of monetization and engagement policies that respect the player experience are sustainable in the long term. At Ubisoft, the golden rule when developing premium games is to allow players to enjoy the game in full without having to spend more. We like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Why are we so upset? That's a perfectly fine statement. Well, then they go on to say this. Our monetization offer within premium games makes the player experience more fun by allowing them to personalize their avatars or progress more quickly. However, this is always optional. You don't have to do it. But if you don't, you won't have any fun. You're gonna hate it. While allowing players to buy progression boost does not equate to locking content behind a paywall, it does allow for designing a grind-heavy experience that encourages players to pay up. Now, I can't wait to read the comments on this. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure you guys have some thoughts too. Leave them down below. The oxymoron of the decade, sustainable microtransactions? Not with my money. Really trying to get people back on your side there, Ubisoft. Why does sustainable microtransactions taste like vomit in my mouth when I say it? Oh man, I could taste it too. Yuck. How out of touch can you be? Although I suppose they're not actually out of touch, they just value and believe differently to normal people. The contrast and contradiction between those two sentences just highlights in obvious detail how these exec leeches believe players should pay full price for a game, a price that they feverishly want to bump up, and also pay more as well. It's greed, it's just unadulterated greed, pure and simple. Everyone in the upper echelons and Ubisoft need to effing resign. It's a disgrace. Boy, not too happy about this one. Let me know where you guys stand in the comments down below. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure, once again, I've told you a million times in this video, probably a little bit too much even. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to keep up with the videos. I've got a whole ton more coming. And as always, we'll see you next time.